Hey everybody, I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups.
I'm John, Hammertime, Holshoe.
We are the Pop Culture Philosophers, and welcome to a special edition of Robbie Rants. Robbie Rants so special, it's episode issue 100.
It means like a double issue with a foil cover.
Yeah, it's gonna be, for real. If this was a comic book, it would definitely have a chromium cover.
And it'd be like $5.99.
It would be $5.99 for like 3 extra pages. Anyway, this video is so massive, it's a Q&A that I had to bring my homie, partner here, and co-founder of Pop Culture Philosophers, John Hammertime Holshoe, with me. We are doing, just like we did last year, a 2-year anniversary Q&A, because yes, that's right, the Rockin' Robbie Rants number 100 happens to coincide with our 2nd anniversary. We've been at this for 2 years as Pop Culture Philosophers, and first of all, we want to say thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. You are the reason why we are still doing this. We are seeing tremendous growth on YouTube, in our iTunes, and our podcast, all that stuff, so thank you guys so much. So much more than we ever thought that we would get from you guys. Seriously. Thank you. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Just the amount. I think that when we started this, we didn't expect to be where we're at right now. You know what I'm saying? We have so many subscribers on YouTube. A lot of that's because of the comic book reviews. So thank you, Robbie. And then, of course, our iTunes subscribers, Android, Facebook followers. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. And so, let's do the 2-year anniversary Q&A. Questions from some of our favorite friends.
Can you edit in like fireworks?
Yeah, I should maybe. Anyway, so first question comes from James Donahoe, one of our earliest supporters. He used to always share everything that we did in the early days. He is a huge supporter. James, thank you so much for everything. He is also part of the Killing Time web series, which you have seen me on a couple episodes. I almost said issues again. Been reading too many comics. Okay, what's the most obvious product placement you've ever seen in a movie? And are you annoyed by such things? This is the question from James. I would say, well, first of all, recently, it's definitely Power Rangers. Power Rangers has this really just kind of, it sticks out like a sore thumb, the Krispy Kreme thing. Does it bother me? If it's handled in the right way. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the early one, had a big thing with Domino's, right?
Yeah.
When Domino's? It was Domino's, right?
Yeah,
it was Domino's. And that didn't bother me because, first of all, I was a kid. Domino's had great delivery pizzas, still do, in my opinion, and I love the Ninja Turtles. And Power Rangers kind of stuck out a little bit much. When it's something where it's like Domino's Pizza sponsoring in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that makes sense because they're pizza fiends. Donuts and Power Rangers are not related whatsoever, so it kind of stuck out, but they kind of made it a joke. I don't know. What do you think, John?
I would say what would stand out the most, and this is going back a little bit, Back to the Future 2.
Pepsi? Yeah.
Pepsi. And as a kid, it didn't bother me. And it still doesn't really bother me.
I still ask for Pepsi Freeze.
Yeah, I want Pepsi Perfect.
Yes.
It doesn't bother me like I'm a little sleepover. I just think if it's done correctly, like you said, Ninja Turtles, and then Back to the Future wasn't as big a deal because I was a kid, and it's still a cool thing. Even Pepsi brought out Pepsi Perfect as a joke or whatever. If it's done correctly, Turtles example, but you're right, something like Power Rangers where they jam it down your throat, and they make it so obvious.
Yes.
You can be more discreet with it. There's no reason. I have nothing against product placement. There's a lot of promos. You'll see a Pepsi bottle or pizza. I went and got pizza out the other day. Spider-Man's on the box.
Yeah.
And it's a cool box actually because you don't realize how great his costume looks and how much it looks like the old comics until you see it. And that how it's printed on the box. I loved it, but they weren't jamming it down my throat. It's not like there's a. Well, I'm gonna go see Spider-Man later today.
Yeah, we are.
So I can't tell you how much Pizza Hut is in the movie, but hopefully.
Yeah, if it's just like you see some, like they're drinking Dr. Pepper, this and that, like who cares about that stuff like that? But when it's just so obvious, that's when it bothers us, I guess. Mike Matthews was the original host of the Smile Show. That was the first podcast that I produced and created, and that is what eventually led us here to Pop Culture Philosophers, me and John doing this show. After Mike left, John took over hosting Smile and David Hatch, you asked us about the origin of PCP, and this is a little bit of it. Of course, there's a blog on our website, popculturephilosophers.com, that John does an excellent job of maintaining. So go check out popculturephilosophers.com for sure. But, so David, we were Smile Show. Mike quit. John came in. We stopped doing it for a while. We reformatted as Pop Culture Philosophers, trying to hopefully be more like. We just recently had a comment, why do we call ourselves philosophers? Well, what did the old philosophers do back in the day? Socrates and Plato and such. They would sit around and they would pontificate. They would talk about their thoughts and about the world and about what things mean. And that's what we do with pop culture. And that's what we try to do. And that's why we call ourselves pop culture. And philosophy means the love of wisdom. So we love the wisdom of pop culture. But that's exactly where we came from, David. And Mike, the voice Matthews, the original host, and you hear him all the time on our podcast, all the time. He said, what's your favorite Smile or Else or PCP moment? And what's your favorite video or podcast? So favorite moment, to be honest, first of all, back in the Smile or Else days, just all of them are fun moments. We had a lot of contentious times and arguments, and it was a learning experience, but those were all just really good times. I look back on them fondly, especially when you came in and we just kind of honed it in. John never wanted to host a show.
I did.
But he does an excellent job. He's one of the best hosts I've ever had on any of my podcasts. But my favorite moment would actually be this year's Huntsville Pop Culture and Comic Expo. Like, I got to host panels with Chris Claremont and Mike Grell, legendary comic book creators, and I got to introduce David Yost, Billy from the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and Jeremy Long, who puts on this event. He's done such a phenomenal job, and the opportunity that he helped me out personally, because that's just a dream come true, and he helped Pop Culture Philosophers out. There's some behind the scenes stuff that he did to help us out, and that was just one of my favorite moments because I really felt the impact of what we are doing that weekend, and it's probably right now my favorite moment. What about you, John?
I would say also the show. Obviously, I wasn't hosting these great artists or any of the Rangers.
Well, somebody had to manage the booth.
But I did manage the booth, and what I was surprised
and Jelani
by,
did too.
Jelani
and
helped us
Alicia,
out.
so that was awesome.
Shout out
Thank
to
you
them
guys
for helping us out. But what I was surprised by is we have our booth. We were selling $10 mystery boxes with pop culture stuff, comics, figures, whatnot. Good feedback from that.
Yeah.
But when I was running the booth, I'm surprised how many people came up, and I know there's some people that follow us on Facebook or YouTube, but I don't expect the average person to know who we are. And to have people come up and be like, oh, I know who you guys are, I watch your YouTube channel, or I know who you guys are, I listen to your podcast. Just people I don't know, just random people come and say that, made me really happy.
Yeah.
People recognized us.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so that was my favorite part, is just to be, people I don't know come up and say, I enjoy the show, or I enjoy the YouTube video. So they mostly came up and talked shit about Robbie, like, oh, that guy that does the comic. No. All good stuff.
I don't doubt it.
In fact, somebody actually came up and bonded with Jelani, and it was also not a big Affleck fan.
Yeah,
so
he was
funny.
like, you're the guy that hates Ben Affleck. I love you. Let's be friends forever.
How can you not like Ben Affleck?
Mike Matthews also asked, what's your favorite video or podcast that we've done? Man, that's really rough. Like, the last podcast we did, which is about to come out very, very soon, New York Movies, I thought was really, really good. Like, I thought that was a great one, and I just also wanted to plug that podcast coming out. That's great. Of course, the Joker video that we did that went over 45,000 views. That's a cool thing or whatever. But I don't know. I just love every single podcast. I think they're all just really, really good, and I have a lot of fun doing them. I think a lot of them are really, really good. It's hard to get in on one in particular, but I do think that the War Movies podcast is exceptional. I do. And I think the 90s comic book movies podcast is one of the best ones too. Because I think that we turned something that, how do we do a whole hour on 90s comic book movies? But I think we all had good points. I thought it was a good show. So War Movies is really, really good, but I also really like the 90s comic book movies one, I would say. What about you?
I don't know if I could pick one particular podcast. I enjoy the podcast more so than the videos. I'm not a big... I have what you call a face for radio, so I don't really like doing the videos as much, although I do the videos. I kind of fought you initially about wanting to do any videos or any YouTube stuff.
Literally.
I really enjoy the podcast. That's where I enjoy the most, and we get together, we talk, we rant about the newest one with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
New Year movies is coming out, but just to talk about things we enjoy and just to go on and have fun and maybe have a few drinks. I would do that even if we were recording a podcast. I would sit around and talk about 90s comics or 80s horror films. So that I can't pick one in particular.
That was another really good one, 80s horror film.
80s horror film.
And we got some really good ones coming out.
And it's on the YouTube.
Really good ones coming out.
Go ahead and check it out.
Brian Weaver, speaking of the show where I hosted the panel with Chris Claremont, Brian seemed a little nervous and gun-shy to ask Mr. Claremont, Chris as I call him, a question. He said, what question should I have asked Claremont? Homie, you should totally ask him about the Tree of Life and the Kabbalah and how he would put the X-Men on the Tree of Life, which he's mentioned that so many times in his work. And yeah, I was there with Chris, and all I cared about was how to actually correctly pronounce the name of Valeria Richards. That was really all I was concerned about. But I should have asked that too. But so should have you. You should have asked him that question. Do you know what question he should have asked Claremont?
I don't know, because a lot of people ask questions that I would ask, because I was
And you
there
were at the
watching.
panel, yeah.
And I was at the panel, and so some of the people took the questions I was going to ask, but in addition to that, he elaborated on some stuff that has come up recently, which is Days of Futures Past. Like, they had changed some things for the film.
Yeah.
And people were upset. But he's like, oh, this was for the better. I like they changed. Like, this makes more sense. And then he also was talking about Legion a little bit. Mm-hmm. So the fact that he went on and elaborated on those two, on that show and that film, made me happy. And I did get to talk to him a little bit at the booth when I got a comic signed by him.
Yeah. He's a very,
Just an
very
awesome
cool
guy. Yeah. Such an awesome individual. If you go to any comic show and you have a chance to talk to him, get something signed by him, I definitely suggest it.
And Mike Grell's a great guy as well, and so was David Yost. I met Joey Fatone. That's a crazy story that we're not going to get into. David Hatch, who is our sole Patreon supporter, which, by the way, we're on Patreon. We're going to reformat some of the stuff in the next few weeks about the levels of support or whatever. We want to give you guys more exclusive content and even early access to upcoming things like the return of Super Mythology. If you want early access to things and exclusive content like the After Hours podcast, where we go on for like 15, 20 minutes after each podcast, just whatever, uncensored, unfiltered, raw, brutal. It's really just us BSing around. But that is exclusive to Patreon. You can get that as little as $1 a month, guys. $1 a month. Thank you guys so much. That would be awesome. David Hatch said, if you could hang out and read comics or listen to tunes with any pop culture icon, living or dead, who would it be? I think it's interesting, first of all, to say, who would you read comics with? Personally, I don't like reading comics with other people. I find it to be a solo personal experience. However, if I could bring someone in to read comics with me and maybe elaborate on some things, it would be Jack King Kirby, absolutely. I would totally love to hang out with Jack Kirby and talk to him about comics. And we can throw Grant Morrison into there as well. Like, I would love to meet and chat with Grant Morrison about music, comics, movies, life, magic, all kinds of crazy things. Grant Morrison, Jack Kirby. Oh, that would be so fun. Also, a really cool conversation would probably be hanging out with Jimi Hendrix, Billy Idol, and Snoop Dogg, and Willie Nelson. I think that would be a really fun night. What about you, John?
I'm surprised you didn't go with one that I thought was real obvious that would answer both of those.
Oh.
I thought you were going to see Gerard Way.
Oh, man, yeah.
He's a lover of comics. He works for DC now.
Yes.
And he's obviously had a successful music career and kind of walked away from that to do comic books.
Yeah.
So I do, I'm not going to say Gerard Way, though.
That's a good answer, too.
I would say musician. I would say maybe David Bowie.
Yeah.
Or maybe George Harrison. If we go, to talk,
Yeah.
if you want to talk about music and listen to music, and of course you'd obviously probably go through their catalog and ask them questions about their music. So those are probably the two I would pick as far as any living or dead. And as far as comic book, I might actually go with Gerard.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, look at some of these great writers and some of these great artists, and some of my favorites are either no longer in the business or have parted ways with some of the companies I associate them with.
Yeah.
So maybe somebody doesn't want to wax poetic about their time at DC because they're now doing a solo project. So
yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe if I had to pick, maybe Matt Wagner. I like Matt Wagner. I like Matt Wagner. I like his art style. I like his writing. So probably Matt Wagner is the person, if I had to pick somebody that exclusively into comic books, I'd like to talk to him just in general about comics.
Yeah, that would be
But I don't know if I'd read comics with them. Yeah, we're going to go in their own personal corner and read comics and not talk to each other. It seems sort of... You don't like it when I interrupt you when you're reading comics.
No.
He does not like it.
And he does it every week.
I do it.
Every single week.
That's my shtick.
So Richard Werder, creator of the Killing Time web series that we mentioned earlier, said, what could DC learn from Marvel and vice versa?
DC's nuts.
What? I can't believe you did that.
For real.
I didn't know he was going to do that.
Okay,
For
what
real,
do you say
what?
DC could learn from Marvel?
Yeah, what can DC learn from Marvel, and what can Marvel learn from DC? Number one, I think Marvel can learn from DC how to handle legacy characters.
You don't need to reboot something every 2 weeks and go do a number one?
Well, Marvel does it just as well. I mean, even retcons and relaunches all count, DC doesn't reboot as often as people really kind of let in.
No, I meant Marvel was the offender
Oh,
there.
yeah, well, yeah, they relaunch all the time, too. And I'm just saying that, Marvel right now is trying to do this legacy thing. They're trying to be able to satisfy fans that have been griping about a new Captain America and a new Thor and a new Iron Man, and they want the classic characters back. But DC has had so much success in transitioning characters to the next iteration, right? Like think about Alan Scott to Hal Jordan to Kyle Rayner. And in there also was Jon Stewart and Guy Gardner. Flash, how many Flashes are there? How many Green Lanterns? How many Flashes? There's even other super characters, other Bat characters. Dick Grayson was Batman, and it was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
There's been more
awesome.
than one Rob, and DC knows how to handle the legacy characters a lot better than Marvel does. People get really, at Marvel when they attempt it. When Sam Wilson became Captain America, people flipped their lids out. People are losing it over Jane Foster being Thor. Allow these characters to grow, because these characters are strong enough to not just be contained into one identity. And so many identities can understand and relate to these characters, and DC does that so well. Marvel could learn that from DC. What DC could learn from Marvel is really just how to keep people on your side. DC has a lot of haters, more so than Marvel does, I would say. I think it's a little imbalance there. Marvel has a really good job of personifying their company, first of all, in Stan Lee. People have this image of who Stan Lee is, and he represents Marvel. And Marvel has more down-to-earth heroes, and when DC has excelled in recent years, or at times, especially in the 70s, they've done more of that Marvel style, where they're dealing with social issues, they're dealing with real-world problems. That's always been the Marvel way, when the 60s started, when Ditko and Kirby and Lee were setting it all up. So DC has learned a lot from Marvel, but they could learn a little bit more about how to continue on, and they could really learn a little bit about the movie universe, because Marvel's really apparently got that figured out almost to a fault now, where I'm worried that so many of their movies are becoming formulaic. We'll get to that in a moment, but that's what I would have to say. What about you?
Yeah, I agree with you. Marvel needs to handle their legacy better, and they do have a great legacy. I'm not knocking Marvel at all. I really like Marvel. Spider-Man came out this weekend, and big Spider-Man fan, really excited. I'm going to see it tonight. I haven't seen it yet. By the time you see this video, we'll have already seen it.
Yeah.
But and then DC could definitely, because they have these iconic god characters almost. They definitely, it seems like they could definitely take a different approach to the approaching youth culture, making characters that may be relatable. And I think they have done that with some of their characters, but not in the fashion Marvel has. And then also, again, like you said, I think you covered a lot of it. Marvel's doing a better job in the film universe. I think DC's making a valid attempt, and the Wonder Woman is amazing. So I think we're heading in the right direction, but I guess we'll wait and see.
Lance Allen, creator of Dance Panda Comics and the publisher and editor-in-chief and the bigwig there, and does the Black Spec comic that I worked on, other projects like Imadre, Garcia Brothers, Fourth Life, and such. Great stuff. You can check out his work online. Dance Panda Comics, L.W. Allen. Great stuff, especially Black Spec. That Black Spec book is something special, I'm just going to say. But he asked, Hang Time or California Dreams? No contest. California Dreams.
Oh, yeah, California Dreams.
No contest. Moving on. Brian Weaver is back again. He said, how would you rank the various DC crises? Ooh, that's interesting. Number one, obviously, to me, is Crisis on Infinite Earths. Number two would be Final Crisis. What else is there? There's Infinite Crisis is all right. Identity Crisis is last for me. Infinite Crisis. What else is there? Blackest Night could count. It's in there. Number one, Crisis on Infinite Earths. Number two, Final Crisis. Absolutely. Number three, Infinite Crisis. That's how I rank those. And then everything kind of goes along with that. Identity Crisis is all right, but over time it has less of an impact on me. 0 Hours, pretty terrible. There's a lot of soft reboots that they've done that have been all right, but I definitely think the original Mark Wolfman, George Perez, Crisis on Infinite Earths is the best, and Final Crisis right. After that, what about you?
You mean the Crisis in particular, or the DC event?
I think he said the Crises event.
Oh.
I mean, Flashpoint is basically a crisis type event.
Okay. If you're counting that, I think that one. But
you like Flashpoint better than...
But you're also still feeling the effects right now in the comics.
Yeah, okay.
Because you've had, obviously the reboot and the rebirth and everything.
We're still feeling the effects of Crisis on Infinite Earths right now, too.
This is true, too. Yeah, I'd have to probably go back through those.
You like Flashpoint, though.
I'm a big fan of Flashpoint, yeah.
We did a whole top 5 list, top 5 DC events.
Yes.
It's on our YouTube channel. I recommend you check that out. That's a really good one. Richard Werder from Killing Time said, what do superhero films need to do in order to endure as a genre and not be a passing fad? What I was trying to elaborate a little bit, I'm going to elaborate a little bit on what I was saying earlier. The fact that they're becoming too formulaic Every Marvel movie is almost the same Marvel movie. Not saying they all are, at all, but they are so formulaic. Iron Man, Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, those are the same movies. Just one of them puts on a suit of armor, one shrinks, and one goes into magic. Like, I think that it's too formulaic at Marvel right now. I think that's going to hurt the things. Is it a passing fad? I don't know. We've been in the superhero craze for over 15 years now, if you really want to think about it. It kind of really started with Blade and X-Men, but it really launched with Spider-Man, hit a lull, but then with the MCU, it's blown up again. And Iron Man came out in 2008. So we're going on 10 years of just the existence of the MCU now, right? We're in year 9 or something, right? So is it a passing fad? I don't know, because they used to make a lot of musicals and westerns too. And people now look at it and say that was a cinematic fad. People may think about that, about superhero movies, but I think superhero movies, as long as they can break away from the formula and be a little bit more different. What has kept comic books going is the variety of stories that you can tell. Even in the superhero fiction genre, there's so much stuff you can do. If they break away from that formula, I think they'll be fine. What about you, John?
Yeah, I agree with that. Less formula, less big shiny explosions and cool costumes, and more focus on the story. When they were talking about the new Batman film being a detective noir film, I think having a good solid story that will stand out so that you can go rewatch it in a few years. Because I rewatched Age of Ultron recently. I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
I didn't really enjoy it the first time around.
Yeah, me neither.
Visually, it's spectacular. Overall, as a film, it makes some missteps. So I think what we need is a good story. But I also rewatched Winter Soldier, and Winter Soldier is awesome.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of it has to do with the story and just having something that's different and something unique. And again, something we can watch a few years from now, go back and rewatch it. If you still enjoy it, that's going to hold up. But we don't need let's not Michael Bay everything. We don't need cool costumes and just explosions, because that's going to wear thin and that's going to kill the superhero genre.
Yeah, absolutely. Blake Flowers asks, what is the best comic book cover art of all time? That is really, really tough. First thing that pops in my head is Fantastic Four 48. Yeah, that's 48's the... is it 48 or is it 49? No, it's 48. 48's the one with Galactus looming over everybody. He's kind of green and weird looking. I really like that one. I think it's Fantastic Four 348 or 58, something like that. It's during the John Byrne run, but it's Doctor Doom, and it's his hand ripping through the comic book cover, right? And you can see the first page in it. I don't know, it's a little crazy. As a kid, I really liked the Venom Lethal Protector #1 cover. That was fun.
Was that the foil cover?
The foil one, yeah. And I really liked that Wolverine 50 cover where he slashed through with the 3 claws and it was die cut. That was cool. But in particular, if I had to pick one, I do not remember the issue number off the top of my head right now, but it's a Spider-Man issue. I think it's Spectacular Spider-Man. It's a black and white cover. It's by John Byrne. And he's in the black costume, and he's got the city of New York behind him, and it's all black and white. And all that he draws is the symbol. You see the white. Everything is black, but you see the white of the symbol, of the eyes, and then the windows, the lights in the windows of the building. And you see the outline of the figure of Spider-Man. And it just is such an amazing cover. I love that cover. What about you? What would you say?
I don't know if I could pick one. There's a lot of great covers out there. But if I had to pick one, Batman and Robin #1. The issue, this is the one with, it's actually Dick Grayson on the cover.
Make the pose, yeah. Make the pose.
Yeah.
Make the pose.
Oh, yeah, they're both. And they got the Batmobile in the center. And it's actually, what writer, what
Grant
artist?
Morris and Frank Whiteley.
Yeah, Frank Whiteley is the one that does the artwork on that one. It's beautiful. Now, it's not actually Bruce Wayne. It actually is Dick Grayson.
Mm-hmm.
But first off, it's the perfect Batman costume in my opinion. And Robin looks so badass in it. And it's just such a great iconic cover. For being a new cover, I thought you've already got these great covers in the past. You can't keep up with. No, they still. It's such a great cover. It's such a great cover.
Okay, absolutely. James Donahoe asks us, what pop culture universe would you live in and why? Well, definitely something a little bit more easygoing, right? Like nothing super. You know what I'm going to go with? I'm going to go with... you got an answer? Because I'm thinking. I didn't really think about this one. Back to the Future.
Which Like, can you travel, or you're in a certain time?
I want to have a DeLorean I can travel through time in with Christopher Lloyd.
Eventually, it gets destroyed, you know.
Then the way they make the train.
Yeah.
I'd be cool with that. No, like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
So you just want...
I want to travel through time.
Yeah, you want some version.
Oh no, actually no. I know exactly what it is, guy. I know exactly what it is. It's Star Trek.
Oh.
It's Star Trek. I can't believe it took me so long to get that. Food replicators, transporters, space travel, time travel, alien contact.
The Borg.
Not many attacks on Earth. Yeah, the Borg, but the Borg came to Earth only like 1 or 2 times. But no, it's Star Trek. Star Trek. What about you? That's it. Star Trek. It's easy for me.
Yeah, it seems like I would say one of the comic books, but I would end up. I'm afraid that I wouldn't be a superhero. I would just be a regular person.
Yeah.
In a city full of terrible crime.
Yeah, Gotham City.
Yeah. So, you pick that, you're gonna end up being like a guy that works at like a hat shop, and you're constantly getting robbed.
Yeah, and then you get killed by one of the Mad Hatter's henchmen.
Yeah. See, that's not something I want to do. So.
By one of the Mad Hatter's henchmen, not even
the Mad Hatter.
Yeah, not even the Mad Hatter or a Joker henchman or nothing. Just I don't know.
Lowest of the low.
So do you have one?
Back
to the Future Part 3? Dirty Harry?
If I was going to pick Back to the Future, it'd be Part 2, man. If I can put a little pizza and make it into a giant pizza.
Yeah. Food replicators are in Star Trek. You can just have a pizza and it's like everything you need. Nothing unhealthy about it.
I don't know about Star Trek.
Oh, man, who wouldn't want to live in Star Trek?
I don't know.
Are you serious? Do you have an answer?
I get, like, I'm afraid I would get, if I'm on a boat, I've never been on a boat a long period, I think I would get, like, seasickness. Would I get ship sickness if I was on the Enterprise for a long time?
I would say that sailing through space in a Constitution-class starship or greater class starship would be super smooth sailing. I think you're fine.
If we're going to pick sci-fi then, Star Wars universe. And I'm talking like Return of the Jedi. Era? Return of the Jedi era.
Do you know, but like we've learned from Force Awakens that the Empire still got its claws and things. Things are still not good.
Who said I wasn't gonna? I might work for the Empire.
Okay.
They've got good benefits.
Star Trek, Star Wars.
You get a parking spot.
If you ever wanted to know the difference between me and John, there you go, right there. I would live in a Star Trek universe. He would live in a Star Wars universe. There we go. James also asks, and this is the question that John is looking forward to the least. What are the most definitive stories for each member of the Justice League? Well, homie, there's like dozens of members of the Justice League, but I'm sure I know that you mean the Big 3, or the Big 5, or the Big 7. I'm going to go with the Big
9, the Big
12, 20. Batman for me, it's Batman Year One. This is, if someone said, give me a book that is everything about this character that's awesome, that would completely turn me into a fan. What is it? Batman is Year One. Superman, it's All-Star Superman. For Wonder Woman, it's the Brian Azzarello, Cliff Chiang run of Wonder Woman. It's the New 52 run of Wonder Woman. I think that's one of the best ones, absolutely. Aquaman, Peter David's Aquaman from the 90s, for sure, especially the first like 20 or so issues. But also the Jeff Johns stuff with Ivan Reyes from the New 52. That's definitive as well. Speaking of Jeff Johns, Green Lantern, I really think it's either Emerald Dawn from back in the day or Secret Origin by Jeff Johns. I think that's an amazing story that really encapsulates everything. The Flash, I'm going to go with Flash Rebirth because it really puts everything together about the Flash, the Speed Force, the Flash family, the Reverse Flash. It's all there. Wally West definitive story would be Terminal Velocity. The Mark Waid, Mike Wieringo story was amazing, absolutely. And Martian Manhunter is the J.M. DeMatteis run that I mentioned in my Super Mythology I did on Martian Manhunter. It's a 4-issue miniseries from 88, 89. An amazing work of comic book art. That's what I would say. John, you have anything to add?
I think you covered a lot of them. Maybe Long Halloween if you don't want a Batman origin story, because it's a good detective story. It's a good Batman story. I agree with you about All-Star Superman. Wonder Woman, I'll be honest with you, I don't know as much solo Wonder Woman stuff as I do know her from the Justice League. I do love her in the Justice League. I do love the Justice League. And I would say as far as solo stuff, I probably read more Bat books, more Bat Family than anything else. So, or maybe Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, absolutely. And as far as just Justice League goes, I would say the entirety of the Grant Morrison run, but especially Rock of Ages, one of my absolute favorite Justice League stories of all time. Lance comes back and says, what's your favorite album, movie, and TV show of 2017 so far? I'll start us off. Favorite album so far of 2017 is 311's Mosaic. Seriously, if you like 311, you're going to love this album. And if you've gotten a little bored with 311, you might just love this album because they have transcended. They have evolved a little bit in their sound. I think Mosaic by 311 is an amazing album. Favorite movie of 2017 so far for me would be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I just loved that movie so much. And favorite TV show, I'll be honest, guys, I don't watch a lot of current TV shows. But the best new show that I've watched this year, like new content of a show, would be the new season of Doctor Who. I was goo-goo for gaga, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Goo-goo gaga crazy over the new season of Doctor Who. Love Capaldi, gonna be sad to see him go. Love Bill as the companion. Just an amazing season altogether. Loved it. What about you?
I'm not really watching any current TV except for maybe Better Call Saul, which is great. Big Odenkirk fan, so I've enjoyed that. I think they're doing a good job. Makes you hate Michael McKean, I think. Is that McKean? How do you say his last name?
From Spinal Tap?
Yes.
Michael McKean.
Albums, I would say I have been listening to 311. That the new stuff is great. I do like 311. We saw him in concert. You probably got me into him. I guess I liked him in the 90s. I didn't used to like them. I didn't realize how much I still liked them. If we're going to cheat and go by re-releases, the Paul McCartney Flowers in the Dirt got re-released, and I'm actually going to go see Paul.
You are? Very soon?
Yeah, this week, actually, in Atlanta. And then what was the last one? Film? It probably was Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Great film. Hilarious. It fired on all cylinders. It was great. It didn't feel formulaic. It didn't feel like, we would talk about Marvel or say, we don't go in this direction. I don't feel like they've done that with the Guardians films. I think James Gunn is doing a fantastic job. He's doing a third film, so I'm really excited. So much fun. Just a good story, but also, action and just hilarious. So, yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy so far has been, but we still got a lot of year left, so we'll see.
And you didn't ask us about our favorite comic book so far 2017, but I'm going to say Doom Patrol for DC, absolutely. For Marvel, it's Hawkeye, and for Image, it's God Country. Do you have any favorite comics of the year so far?
Maybe Detective Comics.
Detective Comics is amazing. So good, so good. Nick Mastromiko said, with all the constant character changes over the last few years at DC, like New 52, Rebirth, what characters have improved and what characters have been knocked off the rails? Number one, character knocked off the rails, Harley Quinn. I could tolerate Harley Quinn pre-New 52. From New 52 up until today, I do not like Harley Quinn. I think the New 52 wrecked Superman for a little bit. I like the Grant Morrison Action Comics, but I think Superman really got messed up a lot in New 52, but I think Rebirth has fixed that. Overall, I like a lot of the stuff that they have done with Rebirth. I think they've really brought back a lot of stuff that I did not like about the New 52. I liked a lot about the New 52. I loved Wonder Woman in the New 52. And I like Wonder Woman a lot in Rebirth. Greg Rucka's done an amazing job, but I do not like that it kind of doesn't put so much importance anymore on the New 52 Wonder Woman. But Wonder Woman's been fine. I really hated the New 52 Tim Drake. And I really feel like in Rebirth, they fixed the Tim Drake issue as well. So that's what I think about that. I'm all for revitalizing characters, updating them, and reintroducing them to a new audience, to a new generation, a new method of storytelling, just a new way of the world. So I'm all down for stuff like that. But they wrecked Superman in the New 52 and Tim Drake, but they have since fixed it. But Harley Quinn's been wrecked ever since New 52. What about you?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Harley's direction. New 52 onward. As far as other things are broken, I think a lot of the complaints we had, and a lot of it was some of the legacy being tainted or changed for I don't know what reason they changed it.
Yeah.
Was fixed in the in Rebirth, and I think that was DC at least listening to the fans. This is one of those times where DC said, "We hear you, and we understand, and we're going to, we're going to fix." I do like that they're listening to their fans. So any complaints I had were mostly fixed in Rebirth. Although I did kind of prefer the New 52 version of Supergirl, and I think the Rebirth one, it seems like they're trying to make her more like the show, but maybe. From their point of view, the show does have a lot of followers, and the show has done well. So maybe they're trying to latch on to those new people that may be new to Supergirl.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good segue into comics. So from their point of view, from a financial standpoint, as a company, I understand what they're doing, but I kind of like the Supergirl from New 52.
Just got on Facebook a brand new question for today's video. So Scott Green, you hooked it up just in time. You said, over everything that has happened with comics and movies since the turn of the century, do you feel that the industry is too flooded now with comic book movies, and who do you think could fill the shoes fill the shoes left by the current stars when they leave the roles behind. We've talked a lot tonight already about comic books and the movies and are they oversaturated, and I don't think they will be. We are oversaturated with adaptation cinema right now. Whether it's comic books or video games or board games, like everything is an adaptation of something else, or everything's a sequel. That is kind of a problem. We have lost a lot of the originality in film now. I do think so, but you just got to look deeper. It's just like music. You hear a lot of trash on the radio, but if you actually seek it out, you can find stuff that appeals to you. But are we oversaturated? Yeah, technically we are, but I think we'll be fine as long as they break away from the formula. And who can fill the shoes left behind? Well, when Robert Downey Jr. leaves, they should just CG a hologram. They should kill him off and he could just be a hologram like Jarvis or something like that. I don't know. I don't know who could fill these roles. We are thinking about doing a series where we have dream castings, right? Where maybe I think it'd be better to do it with characters that have not been done yet, like Moon Knight. Who would be the perfect Moon Knight? Timothy Olyphant. But who would replace these guys? I think it'd be at this point really hard for people to replace them, but we thought the same thing about Michael Keaton. So there you go.
And we were right. No one's ever replaced Michael Keaton. He'd be a good bad guy in a Marvel film.
He would. Do you have an answer to that question? Are we oversaturated?
I think we were talking about the oversaturated earlier about so many comic book films, but as far as the replacement, that itself could be a whole video. I mean, we'd probably have to sit down and go through who we think would be a great cast for things weren't yet cast.
John Stamos would make a good second-rate Iron Man.
John Stamos.
Yeah.
We're gonna go.
Yeah, and if Don,
why are we gonna go? Somebody is
I'm just
older.
messing with you. And if
damn.
Don Cheadle ever decided not to be a War Machine, I think Terrence Howard would be a good replacement.
Yeah, he would be great.
Why
did they ever
really
thought
good?
about Terrence Howard?
I don't know. Okay, and the last question we're going to get to is from Lance Allen. Seriously, check out his work at Dance Panda Comics. Lance gave me the most difficult question I had, and he gave it to us today, I think, last minute. Would you trade Doom Patrol for a new MCR album, for a new My Chemical Romance album? John, do you want to answer that?
I would.
I know he would.
I'm not knocking Doom Patrol. I think he's doing a great job at DC. And I'm happy that he's happy there. And he's also, if you follow his Facebook page, he posts a lot of awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Thoughts and then stuff about the comics and stuff. But I personally would. I'm not knocking the comics, but none of the comics that he's done have been stuck in my head like the songs he's done.
I got you. Okay.
Melodic.
No.
Oh.
I would not. Doom Patrol is something very unique and very special, and we don't have anything else like it in comics right now. We need Doom Patrol. And we need Gerard Way and Nick Darrington, when they're done with Doom Patrol, to move over to Marvel Comics and do a Fantastic Four comic book. That's what we need. What I would prefer would be for Gerard Way to do another solo album, because I love Hesitant Alien, and I view MCR as being done. We got to get over that. That era is over. But I would like a new solo album, because I was just listening to Hesitant Alien this weekend.
It's a good album.
It's a great album, and I love it. What I would like to see is a new solo album for Gerard Way, based in and influenced by Doom Patrol. Because he did that song for Cave Carson, Into the Cave, which was amazing. I would like to see more stuff that's kind of themed in with his Young Animal imprint that he's doing at DC. So I would not trade Doom Patrol for a new MCR album, because I actually want Way and Darrington to move over to Marvel eventually after 50, 60 issues of Doom Patrol and do Fantastic Four. So that's what I'd say no. But
so if you're watching this episode, Gerard, at least you have some validity to you staying at DC. You don't have to worry.
And seriously, Fantastic Four, homie, start thinking about it now. You would do an amazing job. You and Nick.
I think you should stay at DC.
And Von Villain, the colorist. Yeah, the whole team at Doom Patrol. It's my favorite comic book of 2017 so far.
Oh.
I love it that much. There's going to be a review coming out soon for the first arc, brick by brick. It's so good, so good. Anyway, thank you guys so much for the questions, and we look forward to doing this again next year for the 3-year anniversary. Looking forward to it. Got lots of exciting things coming out very, very soon for the 3rd year of PCP, including the podcast. We're back on a more regular schedule. All the podcasts are now completely recorded live, so we'll be able to get them out to you guys much sooner and hopefully better. But we got a New York Movies podcast coming out very, very soon, and Artificial Intelligence coming out after that. But right now, Spider-Man, the podcast, is out, as well as Quentin Tarantino. Great podcast with great guests. like Justin Goldsmith, Mike Matthews, Andrew Matson, and Brooks Gibbs. Lots of fun people on these upcoming shows. Thank you guys seriously for watching this video. Let us know down below any comments that you have about anything that we said. Thank you guys so much. Check out our podcast at popculturephilosophers.com, as well as blogs that we do.
Yep.
Other fun things like that. We do comic book reviews and movie reviews on this show. And Super Mythology is coming back. We got other announcements, but we're not ready to announce them yet. More shows, including a show that John's going to be hosting. Very excited about that one. Lots of cool stuff coming out very soon. Thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups.
I'm John, Hammertime Holshoe.
We are the Pop Culture Philosophers. Thank you guys for 2 wonderful years. We'll see you very, very soon.
We should just hold this pose for
I was wondering how long
20
you would hold
minutes. It should be a Patreon exclusive. I was just sitting here for 10 minutes quietly. I can't do it. I got